fish. It's got to be a pike. It hit so close in. This is a big fish. Oh my gosh, look at. Oh, I thought he came loose. Trying to keep. We've lost 5 fish, and we've been racking our brains. That's why we've lost them here. Oh, look at the size of that fish. That's a big northern, and I mean that's a big one. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful fish. Oh, oh, this is incredible. This fish hit not 10 feet out, so I was hoping it was a walleye because that's what we're targeting. But I got to be happy with this big fish. This is like, feels like it's a 10-pounder. I don't know, when we get it in, we'll know better. Did you bring pliers, Russ?
Yeah.
Oh, I expected him to say no. You can see how lackadaisical they become in this cold, cold water because it's not that far from freezing. I'm going to try to bring him back. This is a really, really heavy northern, and while we want to get some, take something to our buddy Louie, I kind of don't want to. This is a huge fish. Look at the size of this fish. And look at, if you can look, I would say that fish was at least 10. He had this jig just in the tiny part of the corner of his mouth. I mean, it was just hooked on almost like a membrane. And I got to give you another story here. We've lost 5 fish in a row. And if you don't think that's frustrating, what I'm trying to do is create a picture for y'all of how great the fishing can be when other people don't fish, which is just pre-winter. Our jigs, when you have a jig, the hook should be such that when you run it across your nail, it should stop. This is stopping a little bit after me spending ages. And I'll tell you what I did. I picked up a rock because we didn't have a file. And again, if you lose 5 big walleyes, you're going to do the same thing. But here's what I would suggest. If your hooks aren't razor sharp, you're going to have the same thing happen as what happened to us today. So I find these rocks that we've got a million of them we're standing on, and just keep trying to make that point, because I probably wouldn't have caught that pike if I hadn't done this prior to it. Well, that's a tremendous start. I discovered the technique. Of what's getting these strikes. You got, instead of jigging it, you got to crawl it along the bottom, stop every few moments. Now he's going to come into these weeds. I hope I can keep him on. He's getting close. Oh. This is the first one out of 3 so far that stayed on this long, and we don't know why they get off. They do something. My heart's beating like a rabbit's. Ooh, look at the size of that fish. Look at the size of this walleye. This is a big one. This is a big one. Oh, this is a real big walleye. Oh my gosh. My heart's beating like a rabbit's. Like I said, I want to show all of you this so badly. This bank is so steep. I'm not sure. I wish we brought, you know, Russ, maybe the 10th time we come, we'll bring a net. This is a big walleye. This is a beauty. You can see that jig is right on the edge of that fish's. He's not doing anything. It's so doggone cold. It's so close to ice in time. There's no way I can get my hands around him. He's just too big. That's a 10-pounder, I think. Look at the size of this fish. Honestly, folks, I know it might seem obnoxious saying, oh, come to Massena and you'll have this, but it's true. You won't get this kind of fishing anyplace else. But in this magic land, how big is this fish? I mean, that's a monster walleye. It's huge. Well, I'm going to put him back. And I'll bet a lot of you people are wondering why I'm doing that. In fact, I got friends that would mount that in a heartbeat. But we're going to put him back. I'm out of breath. That was fantastic. Show you what I got. A hand-tied bucktail jig. And there's some monster walleyes that live in this river. Here's the thing, and I've said it before, you know, people love walleyes. And they'll go all over Canada looking and they'll catch 100 walleyes. But 99 of them might be 14 or 15. And I'm not saying this cutting down Canada. I love Quebec with all my heart. But monsters live in the St. Lawrence River system. Monsters. I think well, at least the New York State record will be here. I don't know about the world record, but maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll catch it on my next cast. I'll show you what I'm doing, though, because I think this is really important. I've never done this before. I am casting as far as I can, which is almost as far as I can. Then you have to watch your line. You have to watch it. And the weight of the jig going down in the water as it travels down will pull your line out straight. So my line is lying straight. And I wait till I see it just drop, because it has to be on the bottom. And that's going to tell me it is falling to the bottom when I see it drop. Still falling. Still falling. I'm still out of breath. Still falling. I can't show you what I do until it gets to the bottom. And it takes a long time because it's pretty deep water out there. It's still falling. My line is still out straight. You're probably thinking he's crazy. That lure's got to be down to the bottom, unless something's picked it up. Okay, now it's slacked. It's made a little bowl. So I know it's hit the bottom. Now, what do? You know there's no bait on there, just a bucktail. So I just start crawling it like this. Stop. So what they see is that jig crawling along the bottom, like I'm about to do, crawling along the bottom. And I started again. When they hit it, all you'll feel is a tiny little tap. It could be a walleye as big as that fish. Start again. Very slowly. Just move it very slowly and wait. And again, you're not going to get a strike every time. In fact, you might cast 50 times without getting a strike. But that's what's causing these fish to hit, is that kind of retrieve. If I jig it like this, which you normally would do, they're not going to be interested. And I can't tell you why, other than it's winter. It's December. Up here in the North Country, it should be snow and ice all around us, but it isn't right now. Well, maybe we'll get another one that big. If I don't, I can remember that fish all year. That was a trophy. And that, I think there's a bunch of them that big right out here in this water in front of us. I think there is. So maybe we'll get another. Oh, this feels big. Oh, this is a big, oh my gosh. This feels big. Oh, if I can get them through these. Oh my gosh. I'm putting all my strength into trying to lift this fish up and keep him from going into the weeds. He's heavy, really heavy. I think this is another big giant. I really do. Might even be bigger. Holy cow. Look at that fish out there. Oh, these great big walleyes. Oh my gosh. I think this is one of the greatest days. Oh, I actually snagged my last jig, and so I changed to a red and white. He seemed to take it pretty deeply by the looks of where that jig is in his mouth. Now I got to try to get down here where I can land them again. These are heavy, heavy fish. These are, as you can see, giant walleyes. This is the land of giants, I guess. This looks like a carbon copy of the last one. When I put my hands in the gills, you got to be very careful when you do this that you don't hurt their gills. In other words, you got to bring it up on the outside of his gills. There. Unbelievable. This was just in a little bit of tissue. I didn't even hardly do anything to get that hook out. Look at this fish. Look at it. There's a leech. Are they leeches or? No, they're just cysts or something. The fish is so old. Am I panting because I'm so weak I can't hold a fish this big up in the air? Or am I panting because I'm like a kid right now with excitement catching trophy fish to share with you all? It's bright sun, no wind, all the conditions that make walleyes not hit, and we're catching them. That's number 2 jumbo fish in a half hour.
Measure it, Don.
Well, let's see, as close as I can. There's 9 to the beginning of his fin, 18, 27, he's 30 inches. 30 inches. There he goes, starting out now. Oh my gosh, this is just sensational. And I do feel it's important for you to know, I'm not jigging this lure. This is a lure with no scent, no meat on it, nothing, just a bare bucktail jig. And I'm fishing it, just crawling it along the bottom. That's all I'm doing to get these strikes. And I gotta tell you, remember that in the river here we have an invasive species called a goby, and they become the preferred diet of so many of these game fish. And those gobies tend to stay along the bottom and just sort of work slowly along the bottom. So I'm wondering if this is simulating one of the... I can't believe it. I can't talk. I am so excited. This is walleyes that are so big they can barely fight. They're so cold that all they want to do is go back there and lay on the bottom, and yet they're thrilling me, thrilling me. And the whole time I'm talking to you, I'm waiting to feel that little telltale tap. Anyway, there's 2 down. Let's see if we can get another.